All right. Well, we'll kick things off here. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure some of you will be trickling in here in the next little bit, but I'm getting popped up. So just to kick things off, we'll do a little housekeeping. So, thank you all for coming on. We're, kicking off the kind of the LNS webinar series here in the fall. So same as before, we'll do the presentation. We'll have a Q&A at the end. That's going to be moderated. So if you do have questions, there's a question function on the top of your screen there, or the bottom, wherever it is. Type in your question. Somebody will moderate at the end, read the question, direct it to one of the panelists, and then be answered that way. We are going to be recording this as well, and it's going to be posted on the LAS website, and I believe we're going to actually post it on the Canoe website as well. And then that's a perfect segue into this. So many of you may be familiar with the new Canoe name. Maybe it's new to you the first time, but Canoe Procurement Group of Canada is kind of the rebrand of the LAS group buying program. And it's actually a national kind of partnership across Canada. So LAS, many of you may know, has partnered with other associations across Canada to form a buying group with strong contracts, strong usage, over 3,000 municipal members. So the rebrand we felt was necessary because it kind of brings it all together and really shows the strength of it and where all these contracts go. So we're very, very excited for it. With me today is Brent Kimpton with a finning dealer. He's with Caterpillar, so he's going to be giving us kind of an industry update there. We have Troy Sawada with Napa. Again, he's going to be touching on that industry, and Adam Krasnowski with Michelin Tire. So, and we also have Tanner Watt with LAS on the call, and Tim Elms, who will be our moderator at the end. So we'll jump right into it. Thanks again for taking some time out today to join us. So the big part of our discussion today is global supply chain. What are the current issues that you folks are seeing in your day-to-day? What are we seeing? What are our suppliers seeing, and what are they seeing in the industry? So we're going to be, not much of me talking today, which is probably a good thing. And we're going to focus on more of those suppliers. So what we're seeing and what many of you are seeing is there is the perfect storm happening out there right now, and pretty much throughout the summer. Once kind of COVID was easing, the vaccinations were happening, we saw a huge demand from industry, and it was kind of pent up demand from the 2020 year that carried over to the 2021 year. And this demand really put a stress on that supply chain. And companies, they had a lot of product to sell because they had inventory left over from 2020, but they soon, ran out of that inventory. And then as the manufacturing was picking up with restrictions and COVID easing, the products and manufacturing wasn't meeting the thing. And then on top of that, there was the whole shipping and transportation of these things. So what this has led to is price increases. Talking with one supplier who's not on this call today, they've told me back in August that typically they get 4 price increases throughout the year. This year in 2021 already, they had 71 price increases. And that's over many product lines, but it kind of gives you guys a sense of the struggles that your vendors and your suppliers are dealing with. Product availability is huge. Many of the suppliers and vendors are salespeople. They get paid on commission, and the first time ever, they don't have any. Some people don't have product to sell, so they you need it. They know you need it, but there's literally no product left to give you. So this has just put a big strain on everything. We're very happy with the Canoe and the LAS approved suppliers who've been through that RFP process, because we have some mechanisms in place that kind of protect us. They give us leverage, as a big buying group and as a big customer of these folks, but it's a challenge, right? And there is going to be delays. There's going to be equipment delays. We're in budget season right now, where many of you are planning for 2022. And if you're waiting for, the budget to be approved for next year, you might be, if you wait and place your order in January, you might not be able to meet the current, you might not get it for next construction season kind of thing. So So it's a dog's breakfast out there. It's challenging, and we're seeing it from all directions. Again, that increasing transportation costs. We're seeing that in not only the shipping, but we're seeing it in containers. Shipping containers used to go for $4,000. Some of them are up to $20,000 now. So suppliers are being hit with that. Raw material availability, depending where COVID is in happening, and how strong it's being present in the supply chain across the world. Steel is becoming more scarce for certain product lines. Adam's going to give a great update on the tire industry with rubber and things like that, and securing supply. The semiconductor shortage, is a material for the production of trucks and chassis and things like that. This is a picture from a news article. There's thousands of like F-150 trucks, Ford trucks, GM trucks sitting because they can't get semiconductors. And this is huge because it's one little part of the supply chain, but it's affecting the overall product, and they can't ship the 2021s without that chip. So we're seeing lead times with F-150s that you're not going to get them in 2021 for some cases, depending how many you're ordering. So how does that fit in with your buying cycle, and how does that affect in with warranties and things like that? It's going to have a ripple effect that we're going to see down the line. The manufacturing COVID related shutdowns, the three guys on here are going to shed some insight into that. But if there's a COVID outbreak at a Michelin tire plant, how does that going to affect the supply chain? And Adam's going to hopefully go into that for us. So it's really, we're seeing it from all ends. The other part I wanted to touch on was there's provincial and federal grant money that's been released to municipalities across Canada. And with that, there's a lot of stipulation that the money has to be spent in a certain time. And typically, it has to be spent upon delivery of a product, to finalize that transaction. So with that in mind, it's, if you can't get the product to buy, is the grant money going to be funded? So, we're working with, our political counterparts to communicate these messages, but really leaning on our suppliers to ensure that we're getting the right message across, and the right message to our membership, so that they're, equipped with the tools to work with their councils, to work with other levels of government to say, hey, this is the situation out there. This is what we're struggling with. And, to hopefully, provide the best benefit to your municipality. So on that, it's all doom and gloom. So hopefully Adam has some better news, but I'm going to introduce Adam Krasnowski with Michelin Tire. He's the infrastructure and territory business manager. And I guess I'll pass to you, Adam, and take it away.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate that. Hope everybody can hear me well. Again, Adam Krasnowski, working with Michelin for a better part of 10 years now. And just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update as to how things are faring at Michelin, and what we're doing to help try to overcome some of the challenges that have been created by this sort of COVID landscape that we're dealing with. I mean, I'm sure all of you are aware with the logistics nightmare created by the increased demand for container traffic right now. We at Michelin have felt that quite severely. So I'm going to talk about a couple legs right now. So manufacturing for Michelin, Tyler, you can move to 2 slides if you want, maybe. I don't know who's doing the slides. Yeah, there we go. So manufacturing at Michelin is currently deteriorating. It's not a good term. It's the best term I could find to use for what's happening, but we're having product challenges due to several different things. One is obviously COVID absenteeism, creating a shortage of skilled labor in our plants. Fortunately, our plants are able to operate fairly safely due to the fact that the stations are quite separated and social distancing is very easy. Our plants are very large. Typically, you only find 1 to 2 people working in an area together, and then a lot of it is automated as well. So unfortunately, machines can't get COVID. But one of the bigger challenges too is logistics has created a problem on 2 fronts. Not only getting tires from the plants to the field to our warehouses so we can distribute, but getting raw materials to our plants. We've had a major reduction in our ability to to get our raw materials, carbon black, steel, silica, petroleum based products, natural rubber. They come from all over the world. So it's a huge logistics operation to get those to our plants, which exist all over the world. So that is creating a shortage in materials needed to produce the tires. Logistics, we say it's sort of stable. Container availability has been challenging, as well as shipping time has doubled. So when we used to see, 30 days on the water, and now it's up to 60 days or more from leaving our plants to arriving wherever the destination was. We've done some looking into this, and there seems to be no end in sight for that. So that's the Michelin leg of things. I also represent a brand called Camso. Camso was purchased by Michelin in 2018. They do a lot of infrastructure, solid tires, compact equipment tires, off the road product as well. Camso has actually been pretty good with its manufacturing. It's based in Sri Lanka, and a lot of the manufacturing is done there. That's where a lot of the world's natural rubber comes from. So fortunately, they've had a bit better time with getting their plants stocked with products, with materials, and logistics as well. Similar situation with Camso as compared to Michelin. Warehouse spacing is needed, and container traffic is definitely needed. I will say a couple of neat things that Michelin is doing to help overcome these issues is we've currently purchased 4 not container ships, but cargo ships that we're using now to move raw materials. We were air freighting for the first half of 2021. We were spending up to $40 to $50 million a month on air freight to bring raw materials from there to our plants. As well, we've actually invested in a company that is producing 10 plus new container ships, but we have a green initiative. So we're investing in container ships that are going to be sail powered. They will have diesel motors as backups, but we're actually building the sails, designing and engineering the sails for these cargo ships. So there's going to be container ships that are going to be wind powered, coming hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's a neat little tidbit as to what we're doing to help sort of quell this issue that's going on in our manufacturing footprint. So that's pretty much all I got. Appreciate it, Tyler. I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Ooh, sorry. A little bit of feedback there. Maybe just one question before I go to the next group is, product availability. You guys have many categories from OTR to truck to medium truck. How is that looking right now? Is it the same across Canada? Is it maybe specific to Ontario? How is Michelin doing in that regard?
So on OTR, our fill rates are probably in about the 60 to 70% rate right now. So there is a number of products that are very constrained, but it is moving. It is moving at the moment. Truck is a little bit worse. So our truck products, our fill rates are down around the 40% right now for outstanding orders. And that's based on like a 30-day turnaround. We do fortunately have a lot of our key products that are stocked by our dealers. Like example, like the Snow Plus, one of the tires that would be heavily used within the municipal, road maintenance leg of things. We rely heavily on dealers bringing in large quantities, and in 2021 that happened. The Cal Tires out there, the Tire Crafts in Ontario, they all have a fairly large stock of these tires. There's definitely going to be challenges, and I would say that if it's something that we don't have, maybe not the best time to wait on it. If you've got to buy something else, I totally understand. But to all the members out there, use your dealer network. If you're strictly going to Cal Tire, it's nothing bad right now to have to call someone else and see if they have the product available to get what you need to service your business. So
awesome, perfect. Thanks so much, Adam.
No problem.
Next up, we have Brent Kimpton. He is going to give us kind of a heavy equipment update. Where are things at in that world? Brent is with Finning Canada, and they're one of the largest, maybe the largest cat dealer in North America. He is the industry and governmental manager. So on that, Brent, I'll toss it to you.
Thanks, Tyler. Can you hear me okay?
You bet.
Perfect. Okay. Appreciate everyone's time. As Tyler mentioned, just going to give a brief update from the Caterpillar factory side and on the heavy equipment side of the business. Just some of the reasons, and you've heard them, I think, from many of your colleagues, key components on the machines. There's some constraints there, a lot of the electronics for the engine, and then steel is a big one, of course. Some other factories that are really influencing us is vessels, wait times at ports. Some of the time we're looking at up to 2 to 4 weeks extra time at the ports, and then further delays just with loading and unloading and the traffic at the ports. Transportation times are just, you think you make your way getting the equipment landed, but then transportation times are hurting us as well. Some of the outlook, we're seeing improved signs from the Caterpillar factories. They're expanding their sourcing supply of components. But from our side, we're going to see continued constraints, I feel, throughout all of 2022. There's just, even though there's improvements, there's heavy backlog, increased worldwide demand, so it is impacting us still. A quick recommendation from my side is work proactively and early with your Caterpillar dealers, Stormont and Finning. I'd say in the time frame of at least 6 to 9 months in advance to your fleet requirements. Some of the other things we're doing from our side is, as a dealer, we're ordering everything we can, and we're discussing with Cat about early fleet purchases when they have inventory available. We've done a lot of dealer trades, so working throughout North America, not just in Canada, to get machines that they may have on the ground to fill orders. Get creative on bridging solutions, so extending warranties on current machines, lease and finance options, flexibility. We're also supplying loaners on the used side, rental machines from our heavy rents fleet. So, just focus on those advanced and early discussions with the dealers and with the Canoe team. From our side, we're also working with Caterpillar to prioritize case by case. So there's certain requirements that I know there's a lot of need, but Caterpillar's been good about prioritizing. Not for everyone, but on a case by case with special needs, and depending on the circumstance, we're doing the best we can. And that's it from my side, Tyler, unless there's questions.
Yeah, and I think maybe just I'm sure there's gonna be some questions at the end, Brent, but I'll ask the same one that I asked Adam. Are you seeing specific category like loaders, graders, excavators? Like, is there certain products that are getting delayed more, and is that more so where they're being built globally, or is it?
Yeah, that's a good comment. So our motor graders, a lot of our motor grader supply comes out of Brazil. So that port time and vessel time. So we're seeing further delays on that. Where you have other components like excavators, we're actually sourcing from not only that factory, but in the US and then in Asia as well. So excavators is a little more positive. Wheel loaders, pretty positive. Again, multiple plants where we can ship in. Dozers, challenging, just like motor graders. And then you get into the heavier equipment like scrapers and haul trucks. That's similar to graders and dozers. So not across the board, but I would say key for the governmental is motor graders, and that's where we're seeing a lot of the delays. And
then maybe this will be a good segue into Troy's update with the auto parts, but obviously, being a parts distributor, if machine delays are there, we got to keep our existing equipment up and running. How is the parts supply on the heavy equipment? Is there challenges in that as well?
Parts supply actually has been more positive and improving. When we're looking at, actually I should have mentioned before, we're looking at parts supply, rebuilds, some of those other options for customers, and that has been a positive sign. So the factories and those where say motor graders are coming out of the one plant, the parts supply, we can go worldwide and across North America. So it's a little bit less constrained on the parts side.
Okay, good. So it sounds like there's quite a bit of creative options then, I guess, for our customers and our members here that, if they're, hey, they need that new piece, but they still have something we're working with you yourselves and Cat to keep them up and running.
Yeah, for Finning, Tormont, and Caterpillar, yeah, I think as all the people on the call and the suppliers, we need to get creative and come up with options to bridge us and get through this gap until not just Caterpillar, but all these suppliers can catch up. And then the other factors like the vessels, the transport time, and those side of things can work out too. So for sure, talk to the local rep, your Canoe team, and we're trying to come up with customized and proactive solutions for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Brent, for the update.
Thanks for your time.
And then up next, we have Troy Sawada with UAP Napa. And Troy's going to give us an update on the automotive parts and kind of the MRO space, because Napa, as many of you know, they do so many SKUs. So on that note, Troy, I'll pass it off to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tyler, and good morning, and thank you to everybody on the call. Appreciate your time. I think what I'd like to do is start out to maybe talk about some of the positive things that Napa is doing and how we're performing in spite of the pandemic and some of the issues that have been created. And I think I'd like to really preface the call by crediting our demand planning team with some of the things that they've done. They managed to get ahead of the curve back in January, February of 2020, when there started to be issues in China due to the pandemic. Our demand planning team, because a lot of product in the auto parts space comes from China, got ahead of the curve, and they started to order weeks ahead of supply, weeks ahead in demand terms. And so they got ahead of the curve, and we've actually managed to maintain a relatively decent fill rate out of our distribution centers from that point on. Some of the things that help us out there is, we're in some cases we're actually vertically integrated, so we own some of the manufacturing companies like Greylock and Balkamp, so we control some of that supply. The other thing is a large global parts distributor. We get priority supply from some of the other manufacturers. So in supply terms, some of the smaller programs are not prioritized over our program. The other thing that helps our demand team out is we use a system for inventory management called Pulse, and Pulse uses algorithms that include things like regional vehicle registration, historical demand, seasonality, and with that they can really work to customize our inventories by region. And our organization also, even though out of our 600 Canadian stores, 400 of them are associates, we do central purchasing. So we assist our entrepreneur associate partners with their inventory management. And the other thing that is kind of unique to Napa in our space is we have a single point of sale system throughout all of our corporate and associate stores. So we're able to manage inventory a little bit better and have better information as far as controlling that. But all of that being said, we're not without some headwinds that are affecting us. But if you look at our overall distribution center fill rate to our customers, we've managed through the whole pandemic here to keep right above 90%. And so we were kind of in between 90 and the mid 90s. We have dipped down just a little bit right near the end of the second quarter of this year into the high 90s, but we're starting to move up again. Some of the concerns that we have, of course, are that some of our manufacturers, their fill rate to us and some of our first pass data from them is showing declining fill rates, and so some of those things could affect us coming up. Some of the other headwinds that we have is there's new Chinese power restrictions currently in 10 provinces. And so this decreases some of our suppliers' production capacity, which results in increased lead times. They're forecasting that situation could remain until the first quarter of 2022. Obviously, everybody else has talked about ocean freight delays. There's a lot of containers that leave the docks with our product at the same time, or with what we call bunching, and it creates bottlenecks when they reach our distribution centers, and some of that impact we forecast to be affecting us through October and potentially through mid-November. The ETAs for direct imports remain right between 9 months to a year. And some of our own, I mentioned supplier performance, it drops somewhere between in the 60 to 80 range. So they're running into things like labor scarcity, component shortage. So a lot of manufacturers might have finished product in North America, but their components come from overseas. And, you know, for example, with ride control, they might get pistons, valves, seals from other companies or other countries. And so there's component shortage there. There's also raw material shortages that are, you know, linked to the ocean freight delays. And then because of all of those things, we're seeing some unprecedented price increases in raw material, steel, plastic, rubber, and some of the product lines that are affected there are like ride control, for example, and a big one is brakes. So like brake rotors, obviously made completely of steel. So we're seeing some unprecedented price increases, but so far our supply and our fill rate remains relatively high because we managed to get ahead of the curve, and we have, you know, a number of things that I just spoke about that help us with that supply. So really that's about it for an update on the auto parts side. Any questions?
Yeah, and maybe just one before we, you know, open it up to everybody here, Troy, is what's the forecast looking for 2022? You know, is it still, you know, up in the air? Who knows what's going to happen, or do you feel like your other supply chain is bouncing back, or is it, you know, very uncertain as Brent said with constraints?
Yeah, no, there is a large amount of uncertainty there, Tyler. Like I said, you know, we've managed to stay ahead of the curve, and I think because of that, I'm relatively confident in our fill rate. You know, I can't say that we're going to be able to maintain up in the 90s, but I think some of the things that I talked about positions us well in the auto parts distribution space. You know, I would say with some of the fill rates that we're seeing from our manufacturers, it might start to negatively impact us right in maybe the first and second quarter. But you know, I'm pretty confident in our supply.
Perfect. No, yeah, it's a wild time, and you know, it's great you guys were ahead of the curve, but you can only stay ahead so long if you know, if it's not catching up. So no, it's good, and thank you for the update, Troy.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
So, and then just to finish up here, I think this is the last slide, and it's, you know, where does Canoe fit in? What does LAS fit in? And basically, you know, time is of the essence. You know, we heard it from these guys that, you know, it's best to talk with the suppliers, talk with the network, and see, you know, where we're at and how long is it going to take to get things. And if you are a 6 to 9 month lead time on a heavy equipment and you need it for next April or May, you know, it's coming up right now on getting that order in. So, you know, where we fit in is we have those contracts established. We've gone through that procurement process, as many of you know. So it's easy to go in and you know, order the products that you need off of our set contracts. The other way is we have essential service clauses in some of our contracts. So, you know, if it's a choice between a supplier filling, you know, your order or a private industry order, sometimes you know, our order will take precedent because we have that in there. You know, and overall the pricing mechanisms, a lot of our contracts have 30-day price change notifications. So if we see, hey, big price changes are coming, if you can put an order in, if you can get that spot in, you're going to end up saving yourself and the municipality and the taxpayers at the end of the day, some money. And, just on that, it's free to use. If you're an LAS member, if you're a member of Canoe and you have access to all the programs. So on that, thank you for your time today. We're going to open it up to questions. And I guess I'll hand it over to Tim to see if we got anything.
There's no questions just yet. However, if you go to the bottom of the page here, you'll see the Q&A section or the chat box, and you can feel free to write your questions in there, or I'll just give it a minute here.
Perfect. Yeah, questions for myself, industry specific questions. We have three kind of experts here. They're probably gonna love that I called them that, but no, they know their stuff. So if you do have anything specific, maybe something you're seeing with in your municipality, please feel free.
One thing I'll add too is that we always send out messages, Tyler and Tanner and I, with regards to possible price increases. So as they come in, we always notify our members so that they can get on top of their purchases for the year. But it's good to know that you're protected against price increases with that 30-day increase clause.
Yeah, 100%.
No questions yet. I'm sure people will email afterwards if there's none that come in.
Yeah, for sure. And this is recorded too, so if you percolate on the information, it's not the most rosy webinar for sure, but I think there is positives. And with the three gentlemen that joined us, these companies are working through and getting creative with solutions. So if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, to Tim, to Tanner, to any of the three guys on the call. We'd be happy to chat with you and work through it. So I guess maybe we should close it up, I guess, if there's going to be nothing coming in.
There's no questions. So yeah, Tanner, did you want to hop on and talk about the next upcoming webinar that's coming up?
Yeah, you bet. We've got, thanks Tim and Tyler. I'm Tanner with LAS. For those of you who don't know me, you've probably been watching me on webinars for the last year and a half. We've got a bunch more coming up there. You can find the list on the events page on the LAS website. The next one that'll be coming up on October 27th is the launch event for Canoe Procurement Group. That'll be a pretty big event running for a number of hours throughout the day. So look forward to that one. Then we'll be hearing from John Deere on November 10th, Simcoe Refrigeration on November 24th, and Roth IAMS Facility Assessment and Planning on December 8th. And we've also are working on a good lineup for into the spring. So if those are of any interest, or if you've attended webinars in the past and have some feedback for us, please feel free to check out our website or shoot either Tim or myself an email.
And a big thanks to Troy, Brent, and Adam as well. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate the information.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. I think with that, we can, not seeing any questions, I think we'll wrap it up. So thanks everybody for presenting and joining today, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.